Black Desert Online is an MMO that has been live for 9 years. Throughout that time, many game exploits have been discovered and taken advantage of. And today, I will go over some well-known, also some more obscure exploits regarding player progression.
Hotbar flow keybinds. Players could mess with their BDO configuration files and map flow skills to their hotbar. This would break the game during skill interactions that were not natural. Some cases would even look like players were speed hacking. If you think about it, many flow skills do not have a cooldown. Imagine spamming a skill with a broken animation where the first part does not come out instantly, as the first part of the animation is just skipped. Remember, there was a lot less of damage and super armor back then, so doing an engage like this was almost unheard of with the amount of damage you could do. However, this exploit was fixed shortly after it was discovered in 2018. Fish array overflowing. This was an exploit that took place sometime in late 2017 to early 2018. Unfortunately, this one was not too widely known, so there's not too much information on it. However, I believe there was an event where you could obtain an RNG bundle from fishing. Similar to Koi or recent events we had, but not really. You would basically obtain an RNG bundle, and inside this bundle there could be blackstones, hards, sharps, and accessories such as crescent rings. However, when Pearl Abyss created this fishing event, they did not create it properly. What players could do is that they could cast the fishing rod 10 times, and on the 10th cast you would get the RNG bundle and receive the box. This took place during the Cacao era, and possible bans have been lost in time. Now, Forch Hunting. Now, the exploitation of Forch Hunting took place in late 2018. However, the Forch Hunting mechanic, or what caused it, had actually been in the game since launch, but there was never the right circumstances. Now, what is Forch Hunting? It is the oversight of the devs. If you are holding a hunting musket, the hunting damage will be applied to any damage you do. Now, what damage could they do? They could do hind kick on horse or forechop, which was forechop hunting, as it was the most used skill. This was the best. Previous hunting zones before Camisylvia's release, the hunting mobs would knock you off your horse if you attempted to kill them while on a horse. However, with Camisylvia, feather wolves were different. They clumped up nicely, they did not run away, and they did not knock players off their mounts. Therefore, they could be exploited and killed very fast by grouping them all up and then using the forechop skill. This enabled players to kill feather wolf hunting mobs with unintended speed. Now, I personally actually partook in this quote exploit, as I figured it was just a smart use of game mechanics. However, the devs did determine it as an exploit, but no one was banned for abusing this. However, it was patched shortly after more people started to use it. Next, restored Aratu mappers, or just maps. This took place during early 2020. Pearl Abyss wanted to attract more players to the game, so they released an event where upon reaching level 56 on a new account, you'd receive 3 restored Aratu maps. These would allow a guild to summon a treasure chest boss, similar to the Dark Rift boss we have now, however with a different loot table that would drop a variety of loot. The chest functioned as a guild boss, and all members who attacked the chest would get loot. At the time, Pearl Abyss also had an event where BDO was free to play, and any new accounts would get the game for free. Now, this led to select guilds making new accounts because of the free event, leeching these set accounts to level 56, taking the acquired maps from the reward event, putting the maps in guild storage, and then later repeating this over and over until they could amass a very large amount of chest summons. Now, there was a lot of drama regarding this mapping exploit, as it was covered by many places. It was posted multiple times on different Reddits, as a good chunk of the player base saw this as an economy destroying event. As well as this exploit also took place in Korea, and Pearl Abyss released the same maps that were released in Korea with the same exploit happening in Korea. And in Korea, players were banned there, so they were banned here too when players decided to do the same thing. And since this event was so high profile, there are many other videos that explain it better than my short form explanation here, so I will link some in the description below. Or you could just search it up, and this was heavily covered. The Mena Infinite Silver Glitch. Now, basically this was for the Mena region, not EUNA, which most of the other exploits are from. However, they did a cure, but I don't personally play on Mena, so I don't really know too much about it. However, this exploit was notably high profile, as basically on Mena you could list items on the marketplace when it was released. So for example, you go to Tep Syrups. In Mena, it went for 2.5 bill at the time. You would sell it on the marketplace and instantly cancel it back using your marketplace maid. However, when you did this, the money, of the syrup would go into your storage, but the item would also go into your storage for some reason. So you basically just have the syrup, and then you have how much it's worth. So you could just do this over and over again, and players had hundreds of builds. Now, from what I know, all players who participated, the money was rolled back. As for bans, I could not find any concrete evidence that players who partook were banned. However, most likely their money was just removed to what it was before. 2 workers, 1 node. This was an exploit that took place around 2017. The premise was players could put 2 workers on 1 node. The most infamous example was Ancient Stone Chamber. The actual process of this I could not find personally. However, the situation is pretty infamous for players at the time, as a popular streamer was using this exploit. We have digging in the desert. Now, this was an exploit where players could arrange their inventory in a certain way, as they would dig and only get hards and sharps every single time they dug. Now, this exploit was pretty infamous at the time. However, it was patched shortly after it was discovered and used, and players who partook were banned. Map, or 1 FPS combat exploiting. Now, this actually has been in the game since launch on how the game is created, with animations being linked to FPS. Map portion was a exploitation of this FPS link to animation. So players would click M really quick to open and close the map, and whatever animation that they had been taking place to move them forward would happen instantaneously or speed up in a way. Or in the case they did it constantly, the animation would actually last forever or until their FPS was restored. Now, this is actually still in the game. However, the easiest way of achieving a low FPS spike was opening and closing the map repeatedly. This has actually been fixed by Pearl Abyss, first with a 1-second cooldown, then later, as it is now, fixing the FPS spikes when the map is open and closed. However, the FPS portion still exists in the game, and it can be done in different ways. However, it is not very practical, and it cannot be repeated very easily, as opening and closing the map was. Now, the fix for opening and closing the map to cause a FPS spike and therefore lead to the skipped animations, was championed by certain members of the community as they brought the most exposure and actually had this exploit fixed. They provided a way better explanation than I did here, so I'll link a video in the description or comments of explaining what this exploit really was and how to replicate it back in the day when it was not patched already. So yes, each exploit mentioned earlier was a little out of order, so I made a little infographic. Hopefully this explains the timeline a bit more on when each exploit took place. Hey, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you do not agree with any of my takes or feel like I missed something, maybe I got some information wrong, leave a comment and maybe I'll make a part 2.